Here is a clip of what corporate media put out regarding Israel Palestine.
According to reporting by Al Jazeera, the leader of Hamas has said the group is on the verge of a great victory after its incursion into Israeli territory. Political leader Ismail Haniyeh has blamed the violence squarely on Israel's occupation of Palestinian land. For another Palestinian viewpoint, I wanted to bring in Dr. Mustafa Barghouti.
I represent a democratic Palestinian movement called Palestinian National Initiative, which is non-Fatah and non-Hamas. But I think this situation that has evolved is a direct result of the continuation of the longest occupation in modern history. Israeli occupation of Palestinian land since 1967. This is 56 years of occupation that has transformed into a system of apartheid, a much worse apartheid than what prevailed in South Africa. Yes, maybe Hamas did not recognize Israel, but the PLO did, and the Palestinian Authority did. What did they get? Nothing.
Let me ask you about the practical reality of what's going to happen here, which you know because you've lived through this, which is this is going to strengthen right-wing forces in Israel. It is going to strengthen the forces that say have no mercy, have a huge military response. Presumably, the life of Palestinians in the West Bank will get harder, more checkpoints, more searches. Isn't the practical effect here of all this going to be much worse for the average Palestinian?
Unfortunately, Farid, what you have described is exactly what we already have. Today, the whole West Bank is paralyzed by 560 military Israeli checkpoints. And these checkpoints were there during the last 30 years. We are suffering from a wall that is built on our land. The whole West Bank has been divided in 224 small ghettos, separated from each other. And the settlers are everywhere attacking Palestinians. You speak about right-wing government in Israel. Already Israel is a right-wing government. Israel is already having fascists in its government. Smotrich described himself as a fascist homophobe.
Yeah, Farik, because they'd rather die on their feet than live on their knees. That's why. Because their lives are so bad there based on their oppression that this is all they've got. Like, it's amazing to me that given what we've learned from how we've treated indigenous people in the past, that we still can't see how this is going to go. It's not going to end well for anybody. And yes, I know they're going to incur even greater wrath and greater violence for doing. They know that. So they should just sit there and take it. We should just sit there and open our prison.
And credit to Farid for having him on, at least. I mean, I can imagine that.
I will say I was surprised to see that on CNN. And also shout out to Democracy Now! I mean, I don't always love everything about them, but they definitely do a very good coverage, I believe. Democracy Now! Does the most, I think, very balanced coverage of what's going on.
And I think what a lot of people miss, and this is what we said at the beginning to kind of bring that conversation full circle, and we'll close with RFK. It's very interesting how a lot of people kind of lose sight of this reality when it comes to this issue here. It's sort of the same deal when it comes to the war in Ukraine, is that the only thing that people can see, at least in terms of the corporate media narrative that is being espoused, that people pay attention to, is simply this. Israelis were killed, and they were killed by Hamas. They don't need a narrative. They don't need a story. They just know that that happened, and it was horrific, and it was wrong. But to nuance it and explain how it led to something like that, very much the same circumstance of Putin, and it's not even Russia. Putin invaded Ukraine.
Right, and Putin invaded Ukraine, just himself.
I don't have time for nuance. I don't have time for explanation. I am a small-minded American, and I need my information like fast food. Give it to me quick. I don't want to even know what's in. 100%.
They like sound bites, and they also like dichotomy. They like teams, and we're just gung-ho Israel. And I've got to say, look, I grew up in like Tribe Central, and my feed. And by the way, and people know I am not on social media like in terms of politics. I am not on social media for politics. My social media account is for my little art business. And so a lot of my friends and people on social media are people I grew up with and family, and, because I use it for art business and whatever. And I got to tell you, The onslaught of the Israeli flag on social media was suffocating, and I won't engage. You know, I'm not engaging. That's not the use of that particular handle, and I'm not doing it. But it's very, very frustrating to me that people have no concept of context.
Look, it is what it is. People are very fearful, and they understand that there is still a heavy dose of anti-Semitism that exists, and there is also a very violent, destructive pattern that comes with it. It's like saying on the one hand that you support the Jewish people of Israel, but you don't support the Israeli government. And even having that distinction is something that people they can't even hear that, which for whatever reason has allowed them to convince themselves that they are of the righteous, self-righteous, and completely infallible. As a result,
no, they will be. They are on the wrong side of history. I have no doubt about that. I am very comfortable in that assessment. The people that are still the Zionists, you're on the wrong side of history. We were lied to. We now know we were lied to. So now we need to rectify the situation. Stop living in mythology. Please, I am begging you to stop living in mythology. And for people who don't know, like I have just recently been, I have had the realization, and this has been very hard for me, which has definitely caused me a certain level of rage. I have recently realized that I was used as a tool of ethnic cleansing. And for people who don't know what the Jewish National Fund is, it's basically the Zionist, we're the ones causing the desert to bloom. And the JNF is everyone when you plant your trees, and it's the Jewish National Fund, and it's all about the preservation of the Jewish state, blah, 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 blah. So when I was in high school, I did this program called High School in Israel, which is also part of JNF. JNF also is part of what I now call Clan Camp, otherwise known as Birthright, to entitled white Ashkenazi Jews, where they get to go over there and see their birthright that they're entitled to. But so like when I see all of this, the level of frustration is off the charts. But yes, I was used as a tool in ethnic cleansing. One of the things that we do on those trips to Israel as good little Zionists is we go and we plant trees. And in doing a lot of my research, it has occurred to me that wherein we plant trees was in places that were demolished Palestinian territory. And why we plant trees, and if anyone's ever wondered this, why are they always planting trees? Israel planting trees, it's all about planting trees. Yeah, because they went in and destroyed all the greenery and trashed all the crops and the agriculture and the thriving civilization that was there. They trashed it and turned it into rubble. So then they had to plant trees. This is like a huge point of contention for me. I am extremely enraged about it, which is why it's like these Zionists have no idea. Hell hath no fury than me finding out I've been used in ethnic cleansing. And so this is a very big problem. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.